Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the unit plan, parts I and J. So, to get out the door, recap and review. Section F of the unit plan deals with accommodations, and we're going to talk more specifically about what those accommodations might be. Section G of the unit plan deals with day 1 activities and what I want to see there. And finally, we're going to look at the activity for today's class. Accommodations. You need to ask yourself these questions. How can you meet the needs of the learner without damaging the content? Are your accommodations task-related? Are your accommodations location-related? And what does the student's IEP say that you need to do? Now, these considerations are all important, but we're going to break them down a little bit more. So, task-related questions. So, the student has difficulty with scissors. Today's task requires the student to cut things out with scissors. What do you do? Do you tell the kid to suck it up and cut the things anyway? Everybody needs to know how to use scissors. Or do you figure out some way of making it easier for all of the students to engage in the task? Or writing using a pen. You'll see students occasionally have their own little machine. It's like a digital typewriter. It's got a little LCD screen, no internet connectivity, and they can just write. So it lets them be able to produce documents that are legible. Student has difficulty composing essays. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can offer the student an alternate activity. You can offer the student support in composing the essay. What if you're dealing with colors and the student is colorblind? What if you're dealing with the planets of the solar system and the student is colorblind? What are you planning to do there? The student reads slowly. What can you do? Well, do you really need the student to read 3 separate documents dealing with Nat Turner Rebellion? Or would 2 be okay? How are you going to accommodate these students who have these difficulties? Now, location-related are ones that we don't often think of. We'll think about the task ones a lot. But what if you're doing a collaborative activity with a child who's hypersensitive to noise? Rather than making that child join in a group that's just going to cause difficulties, is there something else that we can do? Maybe his group sits outside in the hall where it's a little bit quieter, or maybe they are allowed to go to the library or a different location to work. What if you're doing seat work with a child who has ADHD? That child will not willingly sit there and complete work without something else to do. Or if you're watching a video and have a child who responds poorly to videos. Now, you might say everybody loves videos, and you might be right, but my son does not respond very well to videos. He loves watching them. When they're over, his personality usually shifts a little bit, and he's less kind to be around. We could be watching Care Bears, or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or Transformers, or Pokemon. It doesn't matter. After he's watched a video, he's difficult to be near. Or if you have a student who needs instructions read aloud, that's going to be distracting to the rest of your students. Where do you put him or her? What do you do? These are the kinds of things that you need to be considering in your section F. The core of the issue is, can you reasonably make an accommodation without making the child suffer because of it? You're going to come across people who cannot do this, that they will belittle the student or they will refuse to make accommodations. That's not very cool. That's pretty lame. You want to be able to make accommodations for the student. You want to be part of the solution. Just because a child has a difficulty learning a certain way or doing a certain thing does not mean that they're unable to become successful in life. They're very able to become successful in life, and we just need to help them get through school. Now, day one. Day one has 2 parts to it. introducing the unit and pre-assessment. When you introduce the unit, you're looking at three things. How are you going to introduce the unit? What is the content you're going to introduce? And why? But above all, it should have a yay factor. This is where your students not only learn the how and the why, or the what and the why, but they get excited about the content. Instead of saying, today we're going to learn about maps in geography. Start off the unit by saying, alright students, today we're going to take a walk. Make sure you've got your walking shoes. We are going to walk to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And then when the students respond negatively to that, you ask them why they're responding negatively. And you build on that. And you ask them questions. And you introduce it and you say, that's absolutely right. It's too far to walk. Today we're going to be learning about geography. We're going to be learning about distance and land features that are important in geography. We're also going to be talking about migration and a couple other cool things. But you tie it to something the students know. You get them interested, and you add some excitement into the activity. Pre-assessments. This is the real excitement. I don't think anybody will say that, but it is important. What do your students already know about your subject? What do they already learn? What do they remember from last year? Maybe they remember everything. And you can shorten this unit. Don't worry about shortening units. There will always be plenty of information that you need to cover. Maybe you need to add a preparatory lesson to this unit. Maybe your students don't remember anything about this content. Maybe they should be able to form specific sentences already, or formulate ideas or deal with documents that they can't do. So maybe you need to include a preparatory lesson that addresses the deficit in their learning. So where are they missing the information? And that's why it's okay to shorten a unit. If your students are already there and you're already good to go, you think they might even be able to already pass the test, you shorten your unit a little bit. Let them have fun with it. Because sooner or later, you're going to need to add in preparatory lessons. Now, in class, we're going to do Section F and Section G. Section F. Do the accommodations you identify make any sense? Are they good accommodations? I know that's a very vague term, but you want to know, are the accommodations good? Section G. Does your day one include an exciting what and why? Notice I didn't say how. The how is the part that is going to get the message across. It's kind of implied. And what about assessment? How are you going to identify what the students already know and what they need to know? It's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing all the great work you're doing in today's class.